After dealing with the corrupt appellate court and dealing with Judge James, Judge Ferradino, I came out with a newspaper. It was about 32 pages long. Basically, appellate court on the take, ignores the law, bases decisions on maybes. That was dealing with Saratoga and Schenectady. Maybe they share the services of Warner, which they did not do. Committee on Professional Standards has no intention of investigating corrupt attorneys. What that has to deal with is, I went down there, I wrote a letter, one to the chief person down there and one to an assistant. Exact same letter. The only difference between the two letters was who it was addressed to. They didn't know which letter I wanted them to bring charges against or bring allegations against. They were exactly the same. Red flag. I then went down there for about an hour, hour and a half. And when I go in the office, I went with Mr. Legnard. And he has me sit there and he says, tell me what's going on. So I did. What was funny, I started noticing, he's not asking me any questions during the whole interview. Oh, I should mention, he stated, do you mind if I tape it? We'll give you a copy of the tape afterwards. Never got a copy of the tape. I go through all the corruption, the illegally taking of my mother's house, everything. He gets all done, we get all done, before he says a word. He reaches over, turns the machine off, and says to me, well, let me tell you about the downside to what you have here. I'm going, what's the downside? I come prepared, I'm documented as to what I say. The attorney is probably going to deny what you've stated. Do you think he's going to admit to it? This was his whole thing. The attorney is probably going to deny it. So therefore, if the attorney denies it, there's nothing they can do about it. This is what they do. They cover up. There's Judge James and the Saratoga Judiciary get their jollies from seeing children neglected, abused, and molested. Lies in his decisions for sex, money, or political favors. Talked about them taking my mother's house, trying to extort over $100,000 by taking the house. New York Judicial Commission protects judges, not the public. Is the hearing examiner's office unconstitutional? Does Judge James have any idea as to what his jurisdiction is? And then I list our cast of characters, co-starring the Commission on Judicial Conduct, the Assistant Attorney General, District Attorney David Waite, and the judges in the Support Collection Unit. Well, this one did hit the papers. And it states, new tabloid slams local judiciary. Just so you know, all the newspapers and this are on my website. www.justice4newyork.com. It says here, Marcello, the lawyer representing Corella, said he thought the newspaper was a case of disgruntled father who lost custody case and fought against paying child support. I never fought against paying child support. I fought against paying more than my income is. This guy is a bit unsettled. Yes, you are if you demand your constitutional rights. You know, he wanted everyone associated with the case disqualified for professional reasons. He was treated fairly. Yeah, right. I think I've gone through enough of that. Ferradino and Marcello said, the comments could be considered libelous and anyone misrepresented in the paper could take Collins to court. Neither said they would sue Collins, preferring to let the matter lie. Yeah, they couldn't prove their case. I didn't lie. I backed up everything I have stated. It's a sad commentary that a father has to go through such hell to see his children, and at this point I probably wouldn't see them again. I can't get a fair hearing in Saratoga, Collins said in a phone interview. He said he was calling from an undisclosed Troy location. I've always lived at the same address. Someone once said, if you pick a fight with a pig, you both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it, said Ferradino. Ferradino is the pig. He's a liar. He doesn't know the court's jurisdiction, and he's been arrested for being a drunk driver. So that tells you the caliber of Judge Ferradino. Ferradino and James also said the publication contained slanderous material, but they had not yet decided whether to file a lawsuit. They never did. Truth is an absolute defense to libel or slander. Further, New York Civil Rights Law, Article 7, privileges against action for libel. Privileges in action for libel. A civil action cannot be maintained against any person, firm, or corporation for the publication of a fair and true report of any judicial proceeding, legislative proceeding, or other official proceeding, or for any heading of the report, which is a fair and true head note of the statement published. That's exactly what I did. I gave a fair head note of what was being published, and I backed up everything I said, including my children being neglected. And all the transcripts from that hearing are also on my website, so you can see what all the people I subpoenaed were associated with her. Not associated with me, associated with her, had to say about my ex-wife. The truth is an absolute defense against any libel and or slander. That's why I've never been sued, because I back up everything I did. I then came out with another one. Court papers show that family court judges L. Foster James and Stephen A. Ferradino have been named in charge, charging they conspired to commit fraud, extortion, and case fixing. Again, I put this out in May of 1990. In 92, when I started learning the law even more, the U.S. Supreme Court upholds the oppression of constitutional rights by New York State judiciary. They don't want to get involved in it because of the ramifications it would have with everybody in this state being able to go after the New York State judiciary and all of the attorneys. Constitutional rights. Sixth Amendment provides. Family court tries criminal cases under the law. I have all my arguments in here. New York sends thousands of people to jail in secret trials each year. New York State Judiciary operates extortion and racketeering enterprise. We'll be getting into that in a little bit. I then came out with another paper in May of 93. New York family court judges and the family violate both their state and federal constitutional and civil rights. This was a free public right to a public trial, constitutional rights. Also stating in this one, the civil rights law. Now, after I did a few of these papers, I decided we were going to have Judge Awareness Night on L. Foster James. So, I had a poster made up to advertise it. Wanted, Judge L. Foster James in jail for corruption. State Penitentiary, a nice place for Judge James to retire to. Why is Saratoga DA refusing to investigate James's illegal actions? Does he consider James above the law? Of course he does. That's a no-brainer. All the judges are above the law, all the DAs are above the law. They do what they want and they cover up for each other. This is what the executive branch and the judiciary do. They go after the legislature, but they don't go after each other because they cover for each other. Judge James consistently lies in his decisions for sex, money, and or political favors. Which is it? That's for people to decide. I personally think he gets his jollies out of it. But that's my opinion. Judge James is involved in extortion, case fixing, oppressing constitutional and civil rights, false imprisonment, illegal star chamber proceedings, the courtroom's closed, covering up child abuse, refusing to inform litigants of their rights as required by law, illegal secret court proceedings over which he has no jurisdiction or authority to rule, committing Class C, D, and E felonies while on the bench. Why is he above the law? Child abuse as defined by the National Committee to Prevent Child Abuse. Impeach Judge James. Is James also involved in? This is a question. Placing children in knowingly dangerous environments. Conspiring with the Saratoga Probation Department to cover up their negligence. Having relationships with litigants. Getting his jollies from seeing children neglected, abused, and or molested. Child abuse, physical abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, or emotional abuse. Come learn about Al Foster James. There's his address. Thursday, March 6, 7 to 9 p.m., Saratoga Public Library. If you know something you think we should know, give us a call. We had the meeting. About 100 people showed up. There were a couple of newspaper people there, I think. From what somebody told me, I can't say for sure. I did hear that Judge James's sister did show up. Couldn't believe what she was hearing. But then again, this is what I was told afterwards. Nothing in the paper about it the next day. Somebody wrote an article. I will admit, I had previously done work for this person. I know who he is. Or wrote this article. Judge Awareness, a letter to the editor. During the above proceeding, I had Judge Awareness Night to draw attention to the illegal actions of Judge Al Foster James. The following appeared on March 13. I presume it was in the Saratogian, but I have no way of knowing. I believe this is also on my website. The best defense is the truth. I witnessed the most amazing thing the evening of March 6th at the Saratoga Public Library. Nearly 100 people turned out to express their displeasure with the decisions from Saratoga County Family Court under the tyranny of Judge Al Foster James. The meeting was cleverly advertised as Judge Awareness Night. A very enlightening discussion of the inequities of James's reign of terror behind the bench was given by Charles Collins of Troy. It led to almost a revival-style meeting of some very angry and vocal men and women. Notice, men and women. But even more amazing, although certain members of the press attended, I have yet to see one news story resulting from this topical subject. Is the news media afraid of James, or are they afraid of the exposure that might result from the careful documentation gathered by Collins about the family court system? His allegations involve more than a few judges and lawyers. Collins has smoke bombed the Empire State Plaza in protest. The Albany courts dismissed all the charges against him, with no stenographer or recording device present. Apparently, the court feels that smoke bombing a state institution is legal. Collins blocked off the entrance to the Empire State Plaza during rush hour last year, backing up traffic for miles. Guess what? The court has refused thus far to address the charges. Collins has also been accused by the police of being despondent, possibly armed, threatening judges, and threatening to bomb the Saratoga court. Not true. Still no charges. Gee, I wonder why. Collins put up posters depicting Judge James behind bars all over Saratoga County, accusing the judge of corruption, extortion and case fixing, covering up child abuse, political favors, false imprisonments, and illegal secret court proceedings. Just to name a few. Why wasn't the district attorney at the meeting? Or any of his assistants? Does he consider Judge above the law? Why isn't James suing Collins for disparaging his good name? Because what I stated was the truth, and I could back up what I stated with documentation. I guess what Collins says makes sense. The truth is an absolute defense against libel and slander by Matt Rich. We put this on, and then they won't even report on it. It's cover up for the judges and attorneys.